Welcome everybody to week 5 of our class, and this week there are a few things to get started with. Take a look at the data analysis project information. This will not be submitted this week, but it's important to look at ahead of time and start to get things going early and familiarize yourself with what's expected. You'll also get started with your research proposal project by considering an area or a topic that you like to research. And this needs to be something that impacts K through 12 physical education instruction, and it should be something that you actually have a strong opinion on, something you've experienced, something you think you'll be faced with when you begin teaching, or just some area of physical education that you're passionate about. And once you have your topic, you'll need to make the topic into something that is researchable. This means you'll need to state your topic in the form of a question. For example, if you think that class size is important and you believe that smaller physical education classes is going to help teachers teach more effectively or even help students learn more in physical education, you can make this a researchable question like, do students in middle school PE learn more in smaller class sizes? Now notice I've isolated this and focused on middle school because realistically you can't research this topic K through 12. You would have to investigate all those grade levels. But of course, there are a couple of things that need to be considered. How are you going to measure what you consider learning? So how do you know that students are going to learn more one way or another? And then how many students is ideal? What is the ideal class size that you think students will learn better? But this does give you an example as to how to develop a topic of interest into a research question. But then you'll need to develop or state your hypothesis. And this is what you believe will happen. So identify what learning is and say what you believe. So as a hypothesis example for this one, you could say something like, I believe middle school students will be able to learn new skills, apply those skills, and are more likely to participate in physical activities outside of school if they're taught in a class setting of 30 or less. So these are some things that you can observe and actually research. Now, of course, you cannot use this topic, but it gives you an idea of what needs to be submitted this week. So think of a topic, create a researchable question, and then develop your hypothesis and state that. This is going to be your topic for your research proposal project. You cannot change this topic, so make sure it's something that you are actually interested in. Then you need to submit your Chapter 4 review questions and reflections. Be sure to answer in your own words and to respond to the reflection part of the assignment. Always read the comments because sometimes you're making consistent errors or mistakes or missing some things. So always read the comments that I make for you so you don't make those same errors over and over and lose points for those. And then lastly, complete your test number 2, which is going to cover content from chapters 5 and 6. Now, here's something that I was thinking about that I wanted to mention after reading some of your assignments. One of the contributing factors to poor PE is the lack of exposure and balance of activities and options within instruction. What do I mean by that? Well, most of you are athletes or were athletes in high school, and based on some of your comments in previous assignments, it's clear that you either did not experience what we would call quality PE instruction, or your sports substituted for your PE course. Regardless, your experiences, anyone's experiences, will usually provide a skewed and often negative view of PE instruction if it's focused on either sports or athletics or fitness. For people who loved PE only because they were athletic, doesn't mean that they learned anything. When I was in high school, I actually loved my Spanish teacher. I mean, she made class fun, she was engaging, she did a lot of activities, but I didn't learn a lick of Spanish after taking so many years of Spanish. I want you to consider the non-athletes for a moment. And I want to explain this because it's hard for teachers to understand why a sports or athletically focused PE program isn't the best way to run a program. Let's take the high school setting, for example. At any given time, there are approximately 56.6 million students enrolled in public schools. And this is based on the National Center for Educational Statistics. Now, most of these students will have an experience in PE of some kind. And that experience, believe it or not, will have an impact on their lives and their perception of what PE actually is. And this develops their perception of physical education for years to come. Consider how many students are affected by physical education instruction. And I also want you to consider exactly what makes quality PE quality. Just because you like something doesn't mean it taught you anything. Of those 56.6 million students, only about 7.6 million will play a sport. Now, of course, just because you play a sport, it doesn't mean you're an athlete, but we'll stick with this number just for the sake of argument. So from that 7.6 million, only about 400,000 go on to play sports at the collegiate level. This is only 0.7% of that student population. Now, would you want your instruction to be focused on 0.7% of the population? This is what happens when you teach your physical education class as if it was a sports or an athletic related course. What if I told you that only 0.7 of you in this class are going to learn anything or even going to pass? When you're teaching your class with a focus on sports, athletic, or fitness, you are catering to a crowd that chances are doesn't even need catering to. And chances are those other 49 million or so students that are not receiving quality PE instruction are going to be the ones who grow up to despise PE or see it as something that has no purpose, that has no meaning, that has no benefit. So always consider your larger population and think about the impact that you're making on the students you serve and how quality instruction can begin to change those perceptions of physical education. That's it for this week. Keep up the good work and remember to spend time daily working on your assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Take care, and I will see you online.